The battlefield went quiet the moment the humans started smiling. Not screaming. Not begging. Smiling. 50 alien elites surrounded her in a perfect circle while burning wreckage rained from the sky behind them. Purple plasma rifles locked onto her chest from every angle. Their commander stood directly at her back, one massive claw resting lightly on her shoulder like the execution had already been decided. And somehow, the woman looked amused. For a long second, nobody moved. Smoke drifted across the shattered desert. Dropships burned in the distance. Human bodies and alien armor littered the sand beneath the orange glow of a dying sunset. Then one of the alien soldiers spoke through a distorted battlefield translator. Why is the human smiling? That question would haunt the galaxy for generations. Captain Elena Vey could barely stay standing. Blood ran down one side of her face. Her right gauntlet sparked violently with damaged circuitry. Half her combat armor had been ripped apart during the retreat through Sector 9. But her eyes never showed fear. That unsettled the Vark. Because fear was universal. Every species broke eventually. The Vark Dominion had conquered 300 systems in less than 40 years. Entire civilizations collapsed the moment Black Halo elites entered a battlefield. Most enemies surrendered before the first shot was fired. Humans were different. Even now, after losing the largest battle in their history, this one wounded soldier refused to look defeated. The alien commander slowly leaned closer to her. He stood nearly 9 feet tall, covered in black biomechanical armor threaded with glowing violet veins. His helmet resembled a skull carved from obsidian. A living weapon. "You are alone," he said calmly. Elena glanced around at the circle of soldiers surrounding her. Burning rifles. Charged blades. Targeting lasers trembling through the smoke. Then she looked back at the commander and smiled wider. "That's what you think." The nearest alien tightened his grip on his weapon. Several of them exchanged nervous glances. And that made no sense. These were Black Halo elites. Engineered killers. They did not feel nervous. But humans had earned a reputation during the war. A dangerous one. Whenever humans smiled during combat, something catastrophic usually followed. The commander studied her carefully. No visible support. No reinforcements on thermal scans. No hidden aircraft. Nothing. And yet, the humans still looked confident. Far above them, thunder rolled across the burning clouds. Another human cruiser fell from orbit in pieces. The shockwave shook the desert hard enough to throw ash into the air around Elena's boots. Still smiling. Still calm. The commander's voice lowered. "What have you done?" Elena didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked past the alien line toward the horizon. Toward the ruined mountains beyond the battlefield. Like she was waiting for something. Or someone. That hesitation spread through the Vark formation like poison. One soldier activated his scanner again. Another checked the surrounding ridgelines. A third adjusted his rifle toward the distant dunes. Nothing. Dead silence. Then, a faint vibration rippled beneath the sand. So weak it almost felt imagined. The commander noticed it instantly. Every alien weapon snapped upward defensively. Elena laughed softly under her breath. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just enough for all 50 soldiers to hear it. And suddenly the battlefield didn't feel like a victory anymore. It felt like a trap. The commander grabbed Elena by the throat and lifted her slightly off the ground. "Tell me what you did." For the first time, pain crossed her face. But even choking, she kept smiling. "You studied human weapons for 12 years, she whispered. The vibration beneath the sand grew stronger. Dust began bouncing around their boots. Purple lights flickered across alien armor systems. Elena's eyes locked onto the commander's glowing helmet. "But you never understood humans." A warning alarm suddenly screamed across every Vark helmet at once. System failure detected. Unknown energy surge below surface. And that was the exact moment the alien elites realized. The human woman standing in the middle of their circle had never been trapped. They were. Nobody in the galaxy feared humanity at first. That was the mistake. When the Vark Dominion first arrived in human-controlled space, Their war councils predicted Earth would surrender within 8 months. Every simulation ended the same way. Human fleets destroyed, colonies isolated, governments collapsing under panic. That prediction lasted exactly 11 days. Because humans did something no advanced species had done in centuries. They adapted faster than the war itself. The Vark were built for conquest. Their empire stretched across hundreds of systems, enforced by impossible technology and absolute brutality. Entire alien civilizations disappeared the moment Dominion carriers entered orbit. Resistance was considered irrational. Most species protected survival above pride. Humans protected each other. And that changed everything. The war began above Europa Station. A Vark fleet annihilated Earth's outer defense line in under 17 minutes. Millions watched live broadcasts as human cruisers were torn apart one by one against the blackness of space. The galaxy expected surrender after that. Instead, civilian transport pilots started ramming Dominion destroyers. Mining colonies converted drilling lasers into anti-ship weapons. Farmers poisoned supply routes on occupied worlds. Teachers built resistance networks beneath conquered cities. The Vark couldn't understand it. Every strategic victory against humanity somehow created 3 new problems somewhere else. Worse, humans refused to stay beaten. Even after losing planets, they kept fighting from the ruins. That terrified the Dominion more than any weapon. And nobody embodied that fear more than Captain Elena Vey. By year 12 of the war, her name had spread through alien military channels like a warning signal. Entire Vark battalions vanished after pursuing her unit into urban combat zones. Supply depots exploded hours after passing inspection. Black Halo commanders disappeared from secured compounds. One Vark general reportedly executed his own officers after Elena's squad infiltrated a fortress believed to be impossible to breach. The humans started calling her the Ghost of Carthage. The Vark called her something worse. The Smiling Death. And now that same woman stood alone in the desert, surrounded by 50 elite killers. A cold wind swept across the battlefield. Burning wreckage cracked behind the alien formation while distant artillery flashes lit the mountains red. New Carthage, the final military fortress protecting Earth's outer frontier, was collapsing by the hour. If this planet fell, nothing stood between the Dominion and Earth itself. That was the true nightmare. Not the loss of one world. The end of humanity's future. The Vark commander tightened his grip around Elena's throat, lifting her slightly higher as warning sirens echoed across alien helmets. Unknown energy surge detected. Subsystem instability increasing. For the first time, uncertainty spread through the Black Halo Guard. Elena noticed immediately. Even exhausted, she studied them carefully. The shifting stances. The nervous glances. The hesitation. Predators sensing another predator nearby. Then one of the alien soldiers suddenly shouted across the comm line. "Commander, we're losing orbital contact." Silence. The commander released Elena instantly. Above them, the clouds pulsed with strange flashes of blue light. One by one, distant Dominion dropships began falling from the sky like burning meteors. No explosions. No visible attack. Their systems were simply dying. That's when several Vark elites took a step backward. Because now they understood something horrifying. This battlefield had never been random. The human retreat. The abandoned defenses. The desperate last stand. It had all been arranged. Elena slowly wiped blood from her mouth and looked toward the ruined horizon again. Still waiting. Still calm. The commander activated his external scanners one final time. Buried energy signatures suddenly appeared beneath the desert floor. Massive ones. Ancient. And directly underneath the Black Halo formation. His voice finally changed for the first time since the battle began. Not anger. Not confidence. Fear. What is under this battlefield? Elena looked him straight in the eye. And smiled again. Humanity's answer. Then the ground beneath all 50 alien elites started shaking hard enough to split the desert open. The aliens believed humans were losing. That was the trap. As the desert floor shook beneath the Black Halo Guard, every Vark elite snapped their weapons toward the ground. Warning symbols flooded their visors. Purple targeting systems flickered wildly before dying altogether. Then came the sound. A deep metallic thunder rising from beneath the battlefield itself. Not natural. Engineered. The commander stared at Elena as dust spiraled around them in violent waves. You buried a weapon here. Elena slowly shook her head. No. Another tremor hit harder than before. Cracks ripped through the sand between alien soldiers. Entire sections of the battlefield collapsed inward while buried machinery groaned awake somewhere below them. And then Elena finally said the words that made seasoned alien killers step backward. We buried a message. Across the horizon, hidden lights suddenly ignited beneath the ruined mountains. Human signals. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. The Black Halo commander's pulse spiked instantly. Because the battlefield scans had shown no surviving human forces within 80 miles. That meant only one thing. The humans had hidden an entire army underground while pretending to retreat. For 12 years, the Dominion studied human tactics obsessively. They analyzed fleet formations, weapon systems, military psychology, even human language patterns. But every report reached the same impossible conclusion. Humans became more dangerous the closer they were to defeat. The Vark never understood why. To them, survival was logic. To humans, survival was personal. That difference had cost entire alien legions their lives. Suddenly, the desert exploded upward. Massive steel doors burst from beneath the sand as concealed artillery batteries emerged from underground bunkers. Human rail cannons unfolded toward the sky with hydraulic roars that echoed across the wasteland. The Black Halo Guard immediately opened fire. Or tried to. Nothing happened. Their weapons were dead. All around them, alien armor systems collapsed under the growing electromagnetic pulse spreading through the battlefield. Purple lights dimmed across their suits. Communications fractured into static. Panic started creeping into their formation. Elena watched it happen in silence. This was the moment humanity had spent years preparing for. Not a final stand. A final lesson. Because humans had discovered something terrifying about the Dominion early in the war. The Vark relied too heavily on perfection. Perfect systems. Perfect calculations. Perfect technology. Take that away. And they fell apart faster than anyone. The commander ripped off part of his damaged helmet as sparks burst from the armor around his neck. You sacrificed your own cities for this. Elena's eyes hardened. You thought we were sacrificing them. Another blast shook the desert. Then human fighters emerged from hidden canyon tunnels on armored bikes and exorigs, charging directly into the disabled alien lines. No hesitation. No fear. Just fury. The Black Halo elites regrouped instantly, drawing energy blades as close-quarters combat erupted across the battlefield. But something felt wrong. The humans weren't fighting like desperate survivors. They were fighting like soldiers who already knew they'd won. That realization hit the commander harder than any weapon. For the first time since the war began, the Dominion's deadliest warriors were reacting instead of controlling the fight. And the humans knew it. A rail cannon fired somewhere behind Elena. The shot tore through 3 grounded dropships in a single flash of white light. Burning debris rained across the battlefield while hidden human snipers opened fire from the cliffs above. Everywhere the Vark looked, traps unfolded. Buried mines. Hidden tunnels. Fake retreat paths rigged with explosives. Months of preparation hidden beneath what appeared to be a collapsing defense. The commander finally understood the horrifying truth. New Carthage had never been humanity's last line. It was bait. Elena stepped closer while chaos swallowed the battlefield behind her. Blood streaked her face. Smoke drifted around her armor. And somehow, despite everything, she still looked calm. You know the difference between humans and the Dominion? She asked quietly. The commander said nothing. Elena glanced toward the human fighters surging from beneath the desert. You conquer worlds. Another explosion thundered across the wasteland. Then she looked directly into the alien commander's eyes. We turn them into weapons. And somewhere deep beneath the battlefield, the reactor finally reached full power. The reactor came online with a sound that didn't belong on any battlefield. It sounded alive. A low mechanical roar surged beneath the desert floor as blue energy ripped through the cracks in the sand. Every surviving Vark soldier froze instinctively. Their armor systems screamed warning alerts faster than their translators could process. Critical failure. Energy cascade detected. Evacuation advised. Then the sky itself flickered. High above New Carthage, Dominion warships began dropping out of formation one by one. Massive cruisers lost power mid-flight and tilted sideways through the clouds like dying giants. For the first time in 12 years, the Vark Dominion looked afraid. The Black Halo commander drew his energy blade manually, bypassing his failing systems. Purple plasma sputtered weakly along the edge as he stared at Elena through drifting smoke. You would destroy your own planet to stop us. Elena picked up a fallen combat knife from the sand. If that's what it takes. Then she charged him. Everything exploded at once. Human resistance fighters surged out of hidden trenches while rail cannons hammered the sky overhead. Burning dropships crashed into the desert behind the alien formation, throwing fire across the battlefield. The Black Halo Guard regrouped instantly around their commander. Even without advanced systems, they were still the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. And now they were cornered. The first alien elite lunged toward Elena with twin plasma blades. She ducked under the strike and slammed her knife into the gap beneath his neck armor. Sparks erupted across his chest as the alien collapsed into the dust. Another came immediately after. Then another. No pause. No hesitation. The battlefield became chaos at arm's length. Gunfire flashed through smoke clouds. Humans and Vark crashed together in brutal close combat while the reactor pulse continued spreading beneath the desert. The commander blocked Elena's next strike and threw her backward hard enough to crack broken stone. You cannot win this war, he growled. Elena wiped blood from her mouth. We already did. Another shockwave ripped through the battlefield. Suddenly every remaining Dominion ship above New Carthage went dark simultaneously. No engines. No shields. No communications. Just silence. Human fighters across the desert noticed instantly. And then the shouting started. Not fear. Not desperation. Hope. After 12 brutal years, humanity was finally watching the Dominion bleed. The Vark commander heard it too. That terrified him more than the reactor. Because empires survive losses. They do not survive hope spreading through the enemy. A human exorig smashed into two alien elites nearby, sending bodies crashing through the sand. Snipers opened fire from the canyon ridges while hidden artillery batteries unleashed another barrage into grounded Dominion forces. Everywhere the aliens turned, humans kept advancing. Wounded humans. Exhausted humans. Outgunned humans. Still advancing. The commander suddenly realized the horrifying truth behind Elena's plan. This was never meant to save New Carthage. This battle was designed to send a message across the galaxy. The Dominion could be broken. And once that idea spread, the war would change forever. He roared and charged Elena head-on. Their collision sent both of them crashing into the dust as the reactor beneath the battlefield reached unstable levels. Blue lightning erupted from the ground around them while buried structures collapsed deep underground. The commander pinned Elena beneath him, damaged blade pressed against her throat. You die here, human. Elena looked past him toward the horizon. Toward thousands of human fighters now overwhelming the remaining Dominion forces. Then she smiled again. That smile. The same smile that had unsettled 50 elite killers before the battle even began. And suddenly the commander understood why. Humans didn't need certainty to fight. They fought for each other. For home. For people they might never even meet. That kind of species could not be conquered conventionally. Because fear did not stop them. It sharpened them. A warning siren screamed beneath the battlefield. Reactor core failure in T-30 seconds. The commander's eyes widened. Elena. For the first time, he sounded uncertain. Not like a conqueror. Like someone staring at the end of an empire. Elena slowly pushed the blade away from her throat and stood despite the blood running down her armor. You should have left when humans still offered mercy. Then the reactor core beneath New Carthage detonated. The explosion could be seen from orbit. A wave of blue-white energy erupted across New Carthage so violently that night disappeared for a full 3 seconds. Dominion warships hanging above the planet lost power instantly, drifting helplessly through the atmosphere while shockwaves rolled across the desert below. Then came the silence. No gunfire. No engines. No battlefield transmissions. Just smoke rising into a dead sky. For 16 terrifying minutes, the entire galaxy believed Captain Elena Vey was gone. Human command channels went dark. Rescue drones failed to enter the blast zone. Even surviving resistance fighters could not reach the reactor crater without losing communications entirely. And somewhere inside the ruins of New Carthage, the woman who baited 50 alien elites into humanity's deadliest trap had vanished. The Vark Dominion celebrated too early. Across occupied systems, Dominion officials announced the destruction of humanity's final military fortress. They broadcast images of the burning planet as proof that resistance was finally over. But something strange happened after the announcement. Instead of surrendering, human attacks increased. Supply convoys disappeared overnight. Dominion outposts stopped responding. Entire occupation zones erupted into rebellion within hours of the reactor detonation. Because the galaxy had seen the footage. Every species had. The recording spread through military networks faster than the Dominion could suppress it. One exhausted human woman standing alone while 50 elite alien killers surrounded her. And smiling. That image became more dangerous than the explosion itself. The Vark spent years building their empire around fear. Every conquered civilization believed resistance was hopeless. But now billions of beings across known space had watched the Dominion's greatest warriors walk confidently into a trap designed by humans. For the first time in generations, the Empire looked mortal. 3 days after the battle, a damaged human signal finally emerged from beneath the ruins of New Carthage. Weak, fragmented, but unmistakably alive. Rescue teams dug through collapsed tunnels for 11 straight hours before they found her beneath layers of shattered steel and reactor debris. Captain Elena Vey. Barely breathing. One arm broken. Burn scars across half her body. Still alive. The moment human forces confirmed her survival, resistance movements exploded across occupied worlds like wildfire. Not because Elena had won a battle. Because she proved something far more important. The Dominion could bleed. And once people stop fearing an empire, its collapse becomes inevitable. Months passed. Then the impossible started happening. Entire Vark fleets surrendered rather than face human retaliation. Border systems revolted against Dominion control. Alien species that had obeyed the Empire for decades suddenly armed themselves using stolen human tactics. Improvised warfare. Decentralized resistance. Psychological traps. The exact methods the Vark once dismissed as primitive. Humanity had infected the galaxy with defiance. And at the center of it all remained one haunting battlefield recording. Military academies across dozens of systems eventually began studying the footage frame by frame. Not for strategy. For understanding. Professors paused the video at the exact same moment every time. The second Elena smiled while 50 alien elites surrounded her. Because that smile revealed something the Dominion failed to understand until it was too late. Humans fight hardest when protecting something they love. And that makes them terrifying. Years later, after the Vark Empire finally collapsed, survivors from New Carthage gathered beside the massive crater where the reactor detonated. No statues. No grand monuments. Just a single message carved into black stone. When humans stand together, no empire survives. Visitors from across the galaxy still travel there. Some come to honor the dead. Others come to understand how the most powerful empire in history fell apart after one battle. But veterans of the war always give the same answer. It wasn't the reactor. It wasn't the hidden army. It wasn't even the trap. The Dominion lost the moment they surrounded one human woman. And mistook her smile for surrender. Final transmission recovered from Captain Elena Vey after the Battle of New Carthage. If humanity ever scares you. A burst of static cuts through the recording. Then her exhausted voice returns one last time. Good. That means you were paying attention. And humanity's next war would become even more legendary. Because soon, the galaxy would discover what humans become when Earth itself is threatened.